like my corporate account or my personal account. So
I haven't actually tried it yet. Maybe it's super easy, not just being a big baby.
I accept that answer, big baby. I think we're live.
All right. Let's go through some outstanding spec PRs. This one, I have left some feedback. Javier addressed it, and I have not yet re-reviewed it. Taking a quick glance at it, I think everything I had done is addressed here mostly, so I can read through it again. One of the questions I had, I don't know if anyone else here cares about this, but we sort of a question about how much bike shedding we're going to do as we spec this versus how close we want to keep it to what exists right now. I'm not sure where we are on that. What's the prevailing sentiment? So I feel like if we were using this as an opportunity to clean stuff up, I'd like to turn this into an array instead of a map, because I feel like that's more similar to what people expect. But I don't know whether it's worth bike shedding about those things here or whether we're explicitly trying just to get something up that we can then change.
I mean, is it just pack and K-pack right now that implement the builder spec? I don't think anything else even follows this.
Yeah, it's just pack and K-pack.
I mean, I'm not again a fan of putting all of these labels back again in a new spec that we're introducing, because like especially that mix and stuff causes issues. I don't know if you want to take this as an opportunity to change it or just reflect what's actually happening with pack and K-pack.
Maybe we can, I know some things are changed in here because this whole spec now is also removing the idea of stacks. I believe that's true.
Okay.
Or maybe not. I see a build image and run image in here. I couldn't quite figure out whether we were trying to change things here or not. It seems like it's somewhere in between the two of them.
Interesting. If it doesn't have stacks, then it does not have mixins, no large labels, but I am surprised we removed it here.
I guess I'm gonna say we should go with evaluate it. Are we speccing what exists similar to what we do in builders now? And then we can revisit the conversation of, is there anything else we want to clean up before releasing it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That at least makes me feel like I can go forward with reviewing this, knowing what spirit we're trying to do it in. Moving on to finalize project descriptor 02. I think this is still where we were at last week. Anything you want to talk about here?
No, I haven't had a chance to go through some of the stuff. There's probably a thing that Javier did mention in Slack, kind of if you scroll up a little bit, just the schema version stuff. I don't think we need to kind of finalize or discuss that in this meeting, but we probably should have a larger conversation maybe around that before we mint this out. It probably also factors into his other proposal, but
I'm going to cut you off and move on. I already talked too much on the first one. I'm going to try to keep this tight. This needs reviews. Is there anything else you'd like to say while we're here?
no.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So review this.
GitHub's giving me a 500 right now, which is not an error I normally get. So I'll review it when I can get in.
Yeah.
I
I
just
got
got
one
one
of
too.
those when I first opened it up. I feel like it's having a little bit of a moment right now.
It's been one of
Screw
those
this
days.
up. You're the only person who can get into GitHub right now.
This also needs more reviews. Everyone review. I will add everyone else here. There y'all go. And also this one. I feel like if we were better people, we would do this not in this meeting. I feel like this meeting exists so that we all feel like we have to do this without delaying another day, right? Okay. That's it for spec. Moving on to spec release planning. Milestones. I think these two typographical things are not being worked on, but the process specific working directory is up. And has PR at least. And same with platform 09. So we are closing on completion for the next few APIs. If anyone wants to argue that we shouldn't do these two non-functional changes in this API, I was the one who unilaterally decided they should be in here, and it's because it's driving me crazy that we don't have an official word for meta build pack or multi build pack or some of these things that keep coming up as a sticking point in communication. I think we could finish very quickly.
I thought we already added types. Is that? Oh no, types is the thing you just said.
I mean, describing. This is all about terminology, both of these. Like one is explicitly what is our terminology, and another one is defining a specific word that describes a build pack that is an order of build packs versus a build pack that is not. Because we use like 3 different words for it and none of them are in the spec, and it confuses people, especially people who don't talk to us all the time. People will just drop the word meta build pack places, even though it's not in our docs or the spec, that kind of thing. So that's spec release planning. Outstanding RFCs. Everyone's, oh. Well.
Everything on GitHub status just went red.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah, we're not doing that. All of you who didn't do your reviews on time, you're off the hook for now, but we'll come for you later.
GitHub status is finally updated as down.
I'm surprised we made it through all the spec stuff, honestly. It does make it a little hard to set the working group agenda unless anyone wants to just like come out with what they want to talk about at the working group.
Just yellow it.
I still want us to have a proper discussion on the daemon phase out.
I was just talking with Javier about this morning at the implementation sync. So you can listen to our recording if you want. Because apparently you weren't watching the live stream.
I felt like you just told Sam to RTFM. So please do this other homework. Talk about it again.
The TLDR, as I've come around, I feel like I was trying to be the stickler about the daemon phase out, but I think we can improve the RFCs without phasing out the daemon first. But at least on the annotations, I actually want to move that to an RFC that allows build packs to set annotations.
I did want to do that as a follow-up step. I wanted it as a subteam RFC first, so that the implementation team, like it's not a spec change, and then we can then decide on build packs API change for that, because the last time this came up, some people wanted wait, I'm confusing 2 RFCs of mine. One was the history one, which people also wanted a build pack API for.
Oh yeah, that one we should just do something like Lifecycle, just put something interesting in there. Yeah.
The annotations, yes, we should also have an API for build packs with manifest annotations.
Mm-hmm. And then, but I do think as we're prioritizing what our maintainers are working on for sub teams, I do want to talk about how we can better prioritize tech debt, things like the daemon phase out. Like the daemon phase out's like, 15% API user facing, but it's like 85% tech debt, the reason we want to do it. But I feel like we as a project have a lot of trouble getting around to stuff like that, and it's making it very hard to do other things that should be easy.
Yeah, I can talk a bit more about that, but again, like it depends on how much of the life cycle we have specced out. I have a feeling we can start with getting rid of like directly calling the daemon flag on the life cycle. In fact,
I think that might be a good way to start. Like Pack
Yeah.
could just abstain from using the daemon, and then
and then we can see how that works out. And
we
then
do
we can,
need to add support for like OCI layouts in the life cycle, though.
that's what I meant, how much of the life cycle we've specced out. If we haven't, then we can just assume that like when the tags or like whatever we give to the life cycle to output to, if those tags contain like the URI for a local layout, the lifecycle processes it differently than registry. I don't know how much of the spec they're violating at that point, but like if we introduce that feature, then we can keep the flags as they are. No new flags introduced. It's just the meaning of the flag changes if you add the URI for same way.
Yeah,
EDCR.
I've come around to being a bit more willing to let the life cycle get out ahead of the spec and try stuff out, and then we lock it down and spec it in the platform API specifically. I don't think that makes sense for build pack API as
Yeah.
much. But I feel like we'll need to like, lock you and Terrence in a room, because I feel like Terrence is very uncomfortable with that. So
Lock me in a room.
the two of you can argue it out, because I feel like there's strong proponents on either side, where I'm sometimes caught in the middle. I'm leaning towards Sam's side recently, but yeah.
I mean, it's just whether we want to spec out the lifecycle or not. From the perspective of a platform, whatever functionality that was offered has never been changed, nor with this new feature change it. It's just that it won't be spec'd out. Lifecycle will be doing things that are not spec'd out. Which I don't know if that's a good thing, bad thing. Whether we say that in the spec anywhere that the lifecycle must not do anything. It's not in the spec. It's just gray area.
An idea. We've always wanted experimental features, but we never really figured out how to execute them within our framework. Maybe the way to do this is not like an experimental spec API. It's more like if the lifecycle chooses to offer any additive functionality that isn't spec'd, it is by definition an experimental feature that you have to flag on, and it'll tell you it's experimental. And then it may later join an API, but it's experimental.
We shouldn't decide it in this meeting. But
No, we shouldn't. Sorry, I got excited. We're supposed to just be setting the agenda and not talking about the things.
Yeah, that will go nicely with like everything else that's been happening. That was, I think, like if we have a consensus on the daemon thing, I don't have anything else to put on the agenda.
Do we have overflow stuff from last week?
Can check.
Another topic, maybe it's not working in group, but stack removal stuff. I know something Natalie keeps bugging me about. Also, I'm sure more than the two of us care about the ramifications of how we should do that and kind of tackle it.
There's another topic that we talked a lot about today, the implementation sync.
Do I need to watch that video like Sam?
You don't have to. It depends how much you care about. the ideas we're floating. I feel like at the end of the day, what that topic needs is not more of us opining during the meeting. It's an owner that sits down and like writes a plan, right? And then we can talk about the plan.
I think one other agenda item, we discussed this in the back meeting, but structured logging or a way to introduce that into into the project that might work. I just want to share some thoughts that we had. It's not a big item. It's just, I don't know if it should be here or in office hours, but just some explorations.
I would say it's a big item because it has lots of. I feel like a thing that we've talked about in the past and have failed to figure out what we want to do there. So is a thing we've wanted for a long time.
Many years ago, I tried to make a structured logging proposal. And in the process of doing it, I convinced myself it was a bad idea. By trying to write up exactly what it should look like, I was like, I don't think we should do this. That's where I came to in the end.
The good thing is someone else has already wrote the structured logging proposal for us, which is a CNCF project, and it's just a matter of integration and figuring out how we can pretty print
sort of like the K-log.
More open telemetry, like and how it maps different structured logging libraries to common concepts. So like we get tracing, we get monitoring, and we get structured logging for. It's also come up in some of the past conversations on our Slack, like people are interested if we as a project would be into integrating with open telemetry.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard, not impossible, but the reason it's tricky is because you want to solve both use cases, right? Like you're a casual interactive user, a user of an interactive platform like Pack or the Spring Boot plugin, like really doesn't want this at all.
I
So
think
there needs to be some component that turns the structured part into something pretty, but then like by structuring it, have we eliminated certain categories of prettiness, that kind of stuff.
So that's the part that I wanted to talk about, like just some thoughts on how we could pretty print those structured logs in a way that can be controlled by a builder. So like you have a group of build packs that you want to output logs in a consistent fashion. How do you do that if you have structured logging?
And like you could do that with the life cycle, but then, you know, we do
Yeah.
not specify what build packs have to do.
Yeah, that's what to say. There's a lot of interactive build packs that do like their own spinners and everything. And when I looked at structured logging for similar things, I also backed out. I was like, this seems impossible for code that I don't control. And that's kind of where I land on build packs. Is it's, while possible for a builder, I guess, I'm not sure that it only if you control all the build packs and all the dependencies of your build packs, because if you do any npm installs, then you're going to have to make sure to do it the right way, that it doesn't have spinners and all that stuff.
Well, all right. That's our agenda for today, unless someone else wants to jump in with something at the last minute. We can end 5 minutes early for the first time in history, only because GitHub was down.
You have to run this meeting from now on.
Or we just have to take out GitHub every time we're about to have this meeting.
Are we
You can
still
just
having the next
pretend it's
meeting?
down.
Are we still having the next meeting, or are we just putting it off till tomorrow?
Why? Yeah, I don't know. Either way, what do you want to do, Ben?
GitHub seems to be back up for what it's worth.
Yeah.
GitHub is
It's
back.
too late.
I
We're
got
not
told.
starting the RFC
Yeah.
roundup now. There's only 3 minutes left.
Is there? I don't think there's anything particularly we need to talk about, but I'm open to being said no. What we do?
Oh, can we put a notice for tomorrow just to mention the Slack stuff? it's not a discussion item, but we should call it out.
All right. Let's cancel the next meeting too then. It seems like no one's making an argument that we should have it, so.
Okay.
All right. See you.
Thanks, folks.